Welcome back to the Rollup High Roller community. As always, nothing on the Rollup is to be construed as financial advice. We are just some educators in the DeFi space. Toss us a quick like, give us a share, a repost, send it to a friend who may want to watch this, and finally, give us a sub or a follow. It means the world to help support credibly neutral educational content in DeFi. We're here to educate, empower, and enrich you, and let's jump in.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Devconnect 2023 here in Istanbul. We're Istanbulish, brother. Bing, boom, bam. Oh, if only we had a beer or something. Or like 3 beers.
We could retake this.
Have you drank enough this week, though, here?
I don't know if I drank enough today.
Yeah.
Coffee, definitely.
Yeah.
But maybe the beers, I'm a little lacking.
I was thinking that's actually going to be my fuel for the night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to switch off the tea at the early afternoon. Didn't they teach you these things at MIT, sir?
Yeah. I learned all about the chemical process, and now I'm trying to apply it.
And what did you study at MIT?
So in my grad program, I was doing my MBA.
Okay.
And so I was studying business, and that's where I had met Victor, who's the other co-founder of Manta.
Yep.
I was actually the teaching assistant for Gary Gensler.
No way.
Chairman, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
But he was quite bullish and happy about crypto back then, should we say?
I think when people see it from the outside looking in, it may seem that way, especially because he checks the boxes in terms of teaching crypto courses and stuff. But I'd say he's always been a very taking quite an objective approach.
Yeah, I mean, certainly have to heed some caution when you're leading the largest economy's forces. So not to blame Gary, but there's quite a negative sentiment towards Gary these days. And on that note, actually, BlackRock has just filed for a spot Ethereum ETF today. Officially.
Nice.
What do you think? Pumper? Dumper?
I have no idea.
Who cares, right?
If I knew the market like that, then I wouldn't be a builder, I'd be a trader.
Man, I wanted to be a leverage trader so bad when I first started, and then I realized that I actually have to create something of value in this world to make money.
Gotcha, yeah. I mean, I would love to be a leverage trader too, but I've only heard bad things about leverage trading.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge risk taker, so.
But your career's in crypto.
Yeah. But I feel like the facade of building a project is that you have more control.
Correct.
In terms of, the outcome. But in reality, once you flip through that facade, it's all just grinding and luck.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting take. Right before you jumped in, you were on I assume some sort of team call or community call discussing some, I think, incentive designs. I don't know how private or confidential the information there was, but incentive designs, huh? Important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that is a lot of what drives, getting that initial adoption.
Yeah.
And putting the wrong sort of incentive designs in place ends up having some issues longer term, right? And so trying to figure out how to go to market in the most sustainable manner and then get that initial adoption and drive from there.
Yeah, so for those of you who are new to Manta, originally a optimism-based rollup, originally a Polkadot parachain, now has transitioned into the rollup space, and then soon transitioning to a zkEVM based rollup with Polygon CDK stack. And the interesting part about ecosystems and chains is that there's different ways to incentivize grants, liquidity, marketing, deployments, integrations, and so you can, what's good about your position is you're not the first one, so you can kind of learn from previous and study and research previous ecosystems, which I encourage you and the team to do if you're not already, which I assume you are. And then kind of put your own twist on it, right? And that's kind of what you guys are trying to do with MantaFest with the native dApps, trying to bring on new dApps, but also incentivize the key native dApps that are part of Manta Foundation or Manta ecosystem itself, and then also like non-native dApps. So kind of what's been the thought process there? Have you done some research and studied different programs? What's been the implementation, the goals? Yeah, if you could give us like a good rundown, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So yes, we have looked at a lot of different programs. I think it's really interesting because you see different sort of dynamics when it comes to these types of programs on testnet versus mainnet. right? What kind of audience you're reaching, and so definitely took all of that into account when designing MantaFest. For those of you guys that don't know, MantaFest is our ongoing mainnet Odyssey campaign. Actually, I guess by the time this releases, it's probably not ongoing anymore.
Yeah, it'll be.
Sorry, folks.
It'll be ended by the 20th.
Yeah. So. But yeah, so I mean, definitely took a lot of those into consideration, and I think the overall goal is to try to introduce people to as many of the ecosystem projects as possible. Yeah. One of our emphasis here is, we do want to make sure that we can help kind of grow the ecosystem projects as we grow as well. I guess we're not really as hands-off as other sort of L2s may be, right? I understand the, sort of objective approach and see, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, kind of neutrality.
Yeah. But for us, right, like we're a new ecosystem. A lot of these are new projects, right? They can get the support that we can provide. So, we're definitely helping them or trying to help them in that manner. So I think like that's a lot of around what motivates the MantaFest design for us.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes me back to like the original liquidity mining design from like all the way from 2020 to just token emissions. Now there's different things like call options. There's different things like, kind of you can earn tokens that are locked. You can earn VE tokens in a yield farm, should we say. Similarly, from a chain perspective, it's about like trying to create those that incentivize sustainability, long-term growth, and actual development. You kind of want to try to get rid of the, let's say, rent seekers or liquidity that is just kind of there for yields or there for grants. And I mean, kind of brings to an interesting point, which is a little bit different. Arbitrum has their STIPs going on right now, short-term, so 90-day incentive program. Do you guys think that you guys will do something like that similar, or do you have are you farming, or are you allowed to say you're farming Arbitrum? Are you farming Arbitrum STIPs?
Am I personally farming Arbitrum?
I am personally farming Arbitrum STIPs.
I am personally not at the moment. A bit preoccupied.
Yeah, a little bit busy.
But kudos to them.
But do you think it's a good idea to do these kind of 90-day sprint programs and try to boost the ecosystem?
I think it really depends, right? Like really depends on what your goals are. I think that like if you have a lot of new ecosystem projects that are kind of greenfield and you want to drive some user activity over there just to get people to try out the apps and see what sticks and all that, like it's not bad, but it really depends on the underlying motivations. For us right now, like we're trying to get that all covered under MantaFest. We are thinking about future campaigns as well. But all of that is, with the total goal of just making sure that we get as many eyeballs, as many users onto ecosystem applications as possible.
Yeah, sweet. And I think this partnership with Layer Zero or integration, or could do that. Layer Zero obviously has their OFTs, their omni-chain token standards. They have big ecosystem fund. They've got, which is actually under wraps. And a big marketing community, big name. So what's the technical reasons for that partnership, and what are the external benefits which are public that you can share?
Specifically with Layer Zero, right? Yeah. So Layer Zero, I think there's the benefits are twofold. One is on our ecosystem side, right? Like a lot of these applications, they want to be within the Layer Zero ecosystem as well, because that kind of gets them a user exposure, and ultimately that's, again, what our goal is, right? Especially for the ecosystem side. And then the other part of it is, tapping into the Layer Zero ecosystem and having those projects onboarded as well. So I think there's, the benefits on both sides there. On the technical side, I mean, just more access to users across various different chains. I think, it's a pretty no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that is like annoying for users, from my perspective, I've got some ETH and Aperture swap on some staked ETH, wrapped ETH pool, earning some yield. I did some polyhedra bridging, so I've been doing my little thing in MantaFest.
You're like a bona fide degen.
Yeah, oh yeah.
How many points do you have?
Let's just say I've been a little busy, preoccupied.
Okay.
Is that what you said? Yeah, just slightly preoccupied this week, But the concern was, and is still for myself and others, is I don't know why. It must be that the hacks or just the laziness, but like the bridging. It's just like, I've got to get to Manta. And so I think Layer Zero kind of helps out with their omni-chain token standards, but also you guys have a couple of bridge partners, and I'm just curious, like, how you guys plan to get over that? Because from my perspective and from a user perspective, the hardest thing is just doing the initial bridge. Because I'll bridge back and forth now, but if I never get there in the first place, I never get there, ever.
Yeah.
But if I get there once, I'm comfortable doing it. I'm like, whatever, I have funds there, you know, it almost becomes compartmentalized. So curious on what you think about that challenge.
I mean, you see the number of bridges on us right now. That's
Yeah.
what we think about the challenge,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Trying to just get as much access as possible, make
Right.
it as simple as possible in terms of like what people may already be using.
Yeah.
Right. We have our native bridge as well. I think definitely, there are some frictions, right, downsides in using bridges these days. Not just on, well, I guess not as much on the L2 to L2 side, but
Yeah.
like the L1 to L2 side, like the gas fees definitely are also a friction, but like we're just trying to implement as much as possible in terms of getting the right solutions that users are already using, that they're familiar with, and hopefully tap in from there.
Yeah, and I think Polygon's going to help with that. I mean, not necessarily on the bridging spot or on the bridging part, but potentially, and then also on the liquidity, marketing, just overall community front. I mean, seems like a bit of a no-brainer, but also like optimism is quite significant as well. I know that we were at dinner the other night, and the conversation is not for a recording. Not that anything was said that was not supposed to be said, but there's different preferences that come with working in different ecosystems. So, talk us through kind of your decision making. From going from a optimistic rollup to zk based rollup. Is it more on the tech side? Is it an ecosystem support combination of both? Kind of what was the thought process there?
Yeah, I would say that it's a little bit of both. On the technical side, at the end of the day, one of the philosophies that we subscribe to is just like, how do you remain relevant 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? Like you look at like the 2013s and the 2014s, you got like the Digibytes of the world, you got Bitcoin Cash, where all of a sudden you just see all this money come in because you have Bitcoin or something, right? And like, are they still around? Yes, they're still around, and no disrespect for them. They definitely paved the way for certain thought processes, innovations in the space. And then you have like 2017, where now it's not just Bitcoin forks, but you have Ethereum forks, right? And you've got like, I'm not going to name projects, we all know who they are. Google it. And then but how many of them were still relevant in 2023, right? And so I don't think like we've broken that curse. And so the question is, how does Manta stay relevant? How can Manta break out of that curse, right? And so I think we're all foolish to think that we are not going to be the next victim.
Yeah.
And so the foresight in us is thinking, okay, we do have to take much more of this modular approach, right? Like instead of building everything from scratch, doing everything ourselves, why not leverage the amazing teams and the technologies that they have available and continue to innovate through that, right? And that's exactly why we were looking at Celestia, and we've been working with them for the longest time. We have them on testnet already. We're trying to get them integrated by the end of the year, right? So now all of a sudden, bam, we can take advantage of modular data availability, lower gas fees for everyone, everyone's happy, right? We take a step forward in that user experience. Same with zkEVM, right? Like we've always thought about deploying as a zkEVM, but at the time when we were really thinking about it, right, like we didn't know if the technology was mature enough. And I think we're getting to a point now, right? Because mainnets really just started launching, like Scroll just launched their mainnet as well, right? And so it's uncharted territory. And so for us, right, like we could try to build from scratch as well, or we could find the partners that already can do so. And Polygon, CDK, right, they're getting a lot of positioning there, getting a lot of market share, a lot of amazing projects that are already looking at them, if not already on testnet. And so, like this is our step into, jumping into the zkEVM side, providing more cryptographic security rather than economic security.
Yep.
And I think, it's going to be the same process, same thought process, same philosophy for any future sort of innovation. And I think that sort of approach, hopefully, will keep us relevant for the next 5-10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the thought process on that. Even the 2020 projects, some of them have lost mind share.
Yeah.
One interesting way to stay relevant is to be polarizing. Donald Trump is a great example. Obviously, there's a lot other things going on there, But,
should we give our opinion on Donald Trump? Is that going to polarize this?
That will certainly polarize this video.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get the views, stay relevant.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one way, which comes with marketing, branding, decision making, incentives, leaders, team. So that that's a way. It doesn't have to be the way. And then on the kind of tech side, I think the modular stack is mind blowing. I was at Epic Infra Day.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Epic Web 3.
Okay.
And so at Epic Web 3 Infra Day, we had a talk from one of the guys from Near. They just also launched their DA layer, of course. And they advertised 8,000 times cheaper to settle on Near DA than at ETH L1. Obviously, it's different if you settle compared to Celestia or other DAs. It's much more of a similar comparison. But the point is that I asked a question. I was like, so rollups as we know it without DA are quite cheap. Rollups with DA are going to be a level of cheap that we can't even really fathom. Like 0.0 and a ton more zeros for swaps, for lending, for NFTs, for mints. And so that is just, so from the user experience side, that's huge. And then I think zkEVM side is interesting as well, because that's also on the user experience side, right? Where you can have, there's different kind of functionalities of zkEVM, and then also there's a whole world of like alt VMs, which have like parallel execution or different kind of gas markets that you can kind of isolate, right? Different things. I know zkEVM, I'm not too sure on the specs on that. What is the key, like compared to an alt VM or compared to EVM itself, why is zkEVM differentiated or better for like, is there gas fee kind of separation or execution?
Yeah, so I think you definitely hit the nail on the head in terms of like thinking about it from a user experience perspective. At the end, it's all it is, right? Like you can optimize user experience on the infrastructure level, you can optimize user experience on the application level, and so we're more focused obviously on the infrastructure level. But specifically, why zkEVM? Well, first it needs to be at least an L2 because that's where the whole zkEVM lives, right? The point is to be able to have some type of proof that this batch of transactions that have been settled to Ethereum is correct, right? And so it's more of a security guarantee. When you take more of like the optimistic approach, then it is more of like an economic guarantee, right? Because you're hoping that all the transactions are correct, and if something is wrong, you're also hoping that someone's going to find out within 7 days, right? And so ultimately, whether someone finds out or not, the impact is on user experience, right? No one likes to say withdraw and then wait 7 days. If you want to do that, you just do a bank-to-bank transfer, right? So there's definitely some friction there that I think can be eliminated by using zkEVM on the user experience side, reducing the withdrawal time. On the actual security side, it's cryptographic versus economic. And then, how's that different from alternative VMs? I think that's less about zkEVM and more about the EVM ecosystem in general, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just when there's this term in cloud. I was in the cloud industry before this, and it's called vendor lock-in. And so, when you put a bunch of your stuff and do all this stuff on AWS, all of a sudden it's so complicated to migrate everything over to like a Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure or something. I think the same concept applies to blockchain, right? Like if you build on an alternative VM, you are taking a risk in assuming that this environment is going to succeed.
Yeah.
Because if that environment does not, then you can't just port it over to another EVM, right? Like you've got to rebuild, you've got to start thinking about how to be compatible, EVM compatible in all these different environments. So I think like EVM, zkEVM, right? It gives developers that safety, that sort of peace of mind in being able to deploy multi-chain much more easily, being able to manage that multi-chain deployment much more easily. So yeah.
Yeah, I think alternative VM is definitely more of a risky endeavor in a sense, but one that could pay off big time for those who want to use it, just because of the potential for developer onboarding and capacity and infra and tooling and things. But that's the beauty of this modular stack, is like you, Mr. Gigabrain, gets to get put up against 3 more gigabrains.
Like a mega brain.
Mega, okay.
Kilobrain.
We'll put him Kilobrain. Gets to stack up against 3 other gigabrains, and they all get to put their a la carte menu of modular stack to test. And obviously there's other factors, not just tech. but we can kind of like see who kind of wins in a sense, and that's like, it's fun. It's cool experimentation and innovation, and that's kind of what we're here for. That said, aside from Manta, what is your favorite zkEVM?
Aside from Manta, what is my favorite zkEVM? Oh boy.
Or you could say something nice about another zkEVM if you like.
Is this subliminal messaging? Is that why you're wearing that shirt right now? I mean, the space is very small, right? Like, I know all the founders, and
Yes,
we're all friends in all the zkEVM space. So, I
Are you able to
can't
say
talk
anything
shit
good
in
about
public.
Are you able to say anything good about another zkEVM or not?
I am definitely very much able to say very good things about a lot of the founders of these zkEVMs, right? Like, I mean, on the Scroll team, on the Tycho team, Polygon zkEVM, right? Like, I know these people.
Yeah.
I know that, just being a founder in general is extremely tough.
Yeah.
And so, the decisions, the work put in, yeah.
I think I'm just power tripping a bit since we're on camera.
Oh, yeah?
But it was funny because I had a panel at L2 Days. It was all the names that you just mentioned, maybe one or two more. And they were sitting like this in a row, and the question was from Tarun from Gauntlet, was look to the person to your right and say something nice about their zkEVM stack.
I heard that. I heard about that question. That's how
it was hilarious.
amazing it was.
And if you guys want to see that, check out either our website or my Twitter. There's a full recap about each and every comment. It is hilarious. The lad from Scroll, Yi, looks over at Alex from Matter Labs. He gets thinking, takes about 15 seconds of giggling before he could tell him that his GPU provers were fast or low cost or something. And that's all he had to say, and just pass it on.
It's great. I mean, I would, if you were sitting next to me, I'd probably just be like, nice hair.
That's it, guys.
Nice hair, idiot.
Pico brain. That's why we're on the media side, guys. Whew. That's the absolute beauty of this role, though. Every day we sit down with people, and just like it's like going to ZK College, Modular University, crypto, freaking MIT every day. So maybe one day we'll be learning the engineering side as well. But as we kind of close out here, I'm gonna hit you with a rapid set of questions.
Okay.
And you can't think; you just have to answer.
I'm great at not thinking, so I think this is gonna be easy.
I hope your VC's like that. All right, here we go. All right. So, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Ethereum.
Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Oh, Litecoin. Did I just say that?
Did I just say that? The next one is modular or monolithic?
Modular.
I'm running out of.
Thank God.
Quick hits here.
I'm regretting some of this.
Hoskinson or Craig Wright?
Oh, Hoskinson.
Cardano or EOS?
Oh, Cardano.
Stellar Lumens or Ripple?
Oh, Ripple.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, man. That is, I think that's it for now.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Kenny.
That was the toughest part. You should have warned me about that.
Just power tripping full time here. So I guess just where can our community find you guys, and how can you get involved? And one thing that I wanted to ask about as well, for potentially for us, but just for other content creators or contributors in the space, are you guys planning on doing retroactive grants for data boards, for content, for contributions in coding, engineering, etc., similar to other L2 ecosystems? I know we have a lot of builders in our community, content creators. That's something that they would want to know. And then where would you guys be found?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and we actually are in the process of setting something up like that. In terms of where we can be found, depends on which day you ask me. Somewhere on this planet, and on the internet, I can be found on Twitter, Super Anonymous K.
It's called X now, dude. Come on.
Cut that out. All right. You can find me on X. It's 1X, not 3. So on X, it's Super Anonymous K. And then on the Manta Network side, you can find us on at Manta Network. Yeah.
Awesome. That's always a pleasure, man. Great to meet you out here.
Cheers.
And,
My palms are sweaty like spaghetti.
Yes.
That's how the rap goes, right?
Thanks, man.
Yeah.